investigation over mortgage claims.
People are paying too high an interest rate. That's the only problem with housing. We have to get the rates down a little bit.
Cook, who is black, denies wrongdoing, has not been charged, and her attorney says Trump lacked authority. The case could reach the Supreme Court. Rapper Cardi B is testifying in a civil trial over a 2018 incident with former security guard Imani Ellis. Ellis says the rapper swung at her, while Cardi admits to a heated argument but denies any physical contact. And Justice Cleo Powell has been unanimously elected Chief Justice of the Virginia Supreme Court, becoming the first black woman to hold the role. On the court since 2011, she succeeds retiring Chief Justice S. Bernard Goodwin on January 1st. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This year marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina changed our city and our schools forever. New Schools for New Orleans is sharing After the Storm, a special series reflecting on the past 2 decades of change and progress in public education. Through videos, personal stories, and a powerful interactive timeline and data dashboard, we explore how our schools recovered, transformed, grew, and what that progress means for our students today. Discover the videos, data, resources, and stories behind the 20 years of change at newschoolsforneworleans.org/Katrina20.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK. The talk line is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. You're hearing my voice, you'll hear other voices, but you know what? It's your station. We would like to hear your voice today. Obviously, this is the 20th anniversary week of Hurricane Katrina. The actual day of the hurricane is tomorrow, August 29th. So this is the day before when so much was happening as Hurricane Katrina approached. And we'll be talking about that during the show today. But again, you know, I just have to make sure that everybody knows we got an important election coming up in October. And in the context of Hurricane Katrina, a number of things have happened and a lot of things have not. And so this is our opportunity to decide which of the folks running for office is the next team up. Do we want all or some of those who are incumbents? Do we want who, in the case of an open seat? There is no mayor who continues in 2026, so the position is open and there is a competition. There is no person available for District E to continue, so we got a field of candidates to choose from. In the case of City Council at large, we have an incumbent for one seat, and we don't have an incumbent for the other. Those are two very important and powerful positions on the City Council. And I like what I heard Andronica Morris say the other day at one of the Katrina House and NOLA programs. No matter who you are, if you live in New Orleans, you have at least 3 representatives on the City Council. You got your district representative, and you got 2 at-large representatives who are supposed to represent you also. So that's at least 3 votes. And your vote is critical to deciding at least those 3 seats. And then there are others, of course, for assessor and sheriff, clerk. And there are some important decisions to be made. But now's the time to ramp up and think more seriously about October 11th. Early voting starts September 27th, and early voting will end on October 4th. if you're not registered to vote, it's pretty easy to do, but you can do it in person right now, but then you have the opportunity to do it online, and you can request a mail ballot from the registrar, and you have to do that by the 10th, get that back in by October 10th. But if you're registered, how about your mama and them? Is everybody in your household registered? Is your next door neighbor registered? How about that church member that you love to sit in the same pew every Sunday, and you know the folks on the row in front of you, on the row with you, on the row behind you, 3 rows behind you? Are they all registered to vote? And will they vote? October 11th, Election Day. Yes, you heard me say it yesterday. You heard me say it the day before. You heard me say it the day before that. And I'm going to remind you every day because we need more folks to vote. There are all types of black power, and this is one where you get a choice. So we got a dynamic show lined up for you today. And, you know, it's Troy Carter Thursday. We always hear from the congressman. He's traveling, but we're going to still hear from him today. And we're going to hear from Seth 45. Good to see that brother again. He's going to talk about the K20 March and Second Line. And, of course, you know, a lot of folks are in town this week, but Seth's been out there on August 29th every single year doing things and making things happen. So we're going to hear from him. We're also going to hear from Andronika Morris talking about where the money went and how did we spend it last time and how can we spend it better the next time. But right now, I want to introduce you to our special guest host. But you know what? I want you to figure out who the special guest host is. Some of you all played around with us when we had a special guest host before, a few days ago. And some of you got close, and one of you actually got it. But let's see if you can guess. So let me give you some hints. New Orleans native. And let's see. I'll use the word treme. And let's see. I'll use the word talented, activist, advocate. Getting warm? Phone number is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. I didn't call up the Facebook page to see what my Facebook people are thinking, but is that enough for you, or you need some more? You need some more? Okay, let's make it a little hotter. I said Treme. When I say Treme, what else comes to mind? Anything special in the context of Katrina? There have been a lot of recent documentaries, films associated with Katrina, but there was a big one just a while ago. Treme. Anybody with me? 504-582-9422. All right, so let's see. I guess you need maybe a little bigger hint. From fine stock. Stock that you know and you have known and is an example for generation after generation in terms of caring deeply about this community. Any guesses? Any guesses? 504-582-9422. What you say on Facebook, folks? Well, we got Shannon. Shannon's calling in. All right, so we might have a guess, or maybe it's something else. I don't know. Well, is Shannon on the line? All right. Good morning, Shannon.
Is that me?
Yes.
Wendell Pierce.
Hey, Wendell Pierce. Oh, interesting guess. But, Wendell certainly moved around the city. He's certainly a native of New Orleans. But I'm going to say Punch Train Park. He's that dude. Yeah, so it's not
I have to
window.
look on Facebook and see
All
who
right,
you
Bruce.
got up in there.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Come on over, guests. We are live. There's a camera there and a camera there and a camera there. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, welcome to the Good Morning Show. Lois, Eli. And we got Lois here. He's in town for some of the Katrina 20 activities, including something that he's doing tonight, and we'll be talking about that. But welcome to the welcome home again, and welcome to the Good Morning Show in WBOK.
Feels good to be back, man. Good to see you, Will.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So for the folks who have known you from various hats and activities, give the folks a little update on your lineage, because I don't think I'll do it justice. Right. I can, but since you're here, I'm gonna let you give that summary, and then we'll go into what you've been doing and why you're here this week.
All right. Well, after I was working on HBO's Treme show, Indeed with Wendell Pierce, I ended up going to Los Angeles to continue writing for television. So I written for a bunch of shows, wrote, that's a new word. I have written for a bunch of shows, Bosch, The Man in the High Castle, The Chi, and some other shows. And so I've been living mostly out there, but getting home as often as possible to see my mom and them, and to be certain that my two sons know that they are New Orleanians, even though one was born in Madagascar and the other was born in exile in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm here particularly because Ella, the Entertainment Legal Clinic, is hosting a forum on cultural issues in the wake of the 20th anniversary of Katrina. There were a whole lot of things that happened after the flood that made clear that our culture was a crucial part of telling our story. Mm-hmm. Musicians and chefs could travel. Our food and our music both tell who we are in a way that other people's food and music do not, because most of what you get from the rest of the country is kind of national music. It's generic. Most of the dishes you get in other parts of the country don't tell you where they're from. These people were crucial in telling our story. So we want to check in with them and see what we've learned in the 20 years since the federal disaster.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we're going to be talking some more about that so that people know where and when and whether you can still go, or are there any seats left and things of that nature. Meanwhile, we got some news that's developed in the last 24 hours and overnight. You know, we had Chief Kurt Patrick yesterday telling us about the developments with Brian Vasquez, the 12-year-old New Orleans East boy, nonverbal, who's been missing for about 2 weeks. And yesterday, the chief was with us making a regular visit and told us that they were 90% sure that the body of Brian had been found, and that there would be some developments yesterday morning to confirm that indeed was Brian's body. Brian's body was found. His body was found, and it was in the lagoon. And so Brian's been missing for a while, and Brian's been deceased. And there were rumors about how Brian might have died, why Brian might have been missing. Apparently, he's left home before, and he was in a new neighborhood, so he wasn't really familiar with his surroundings. That would be probably traumatizing for any kid to walk away and then realize this is not what I'm used to. But for a nonverbal kid who doesn't communicate with anybody, as I understand it, except in certain ways with his family, he wandered away. And there were rumors about alligators, and unfortunately, that word was confirmed yesterday. Young Brian suffered trauma, and at the hands, feet, neck, teeth of an alligator. And I don't think any of us wish on some family or any person that they would die. It's hard enough in our city when we hear about people being shot to death. But to be killed by an alligator is very troubling. We know we have gators, but to be killed by an alligator, that's just horrible. So, have you heard of anyone being killed by an alligator? Not bitten, but killed by an alligator in a situation like this?
Unfortunately, that's the kind of thing you see from time to time on Instagram, because obviously the most unusual kinds of tragedies are the ones that get posted most frequently. And it's so sad because obviously an older child, a child who was a bit more aware of what was going on, would have been less likely to be in that situation. But the most vulnerable among us are often the ones who are worst abused.
Yep. And the police department has, and the chief indicated that there was more to the story and more to the investigation, and that she and Crime Stoppers want all possible leads. And she said after the announcement of a body being found, not saying it was Brian, but a body being found, one of the most significant tips came in yesterday. So they still need tips, want tips, so they can get to the bottom of what happened. Meanwhile, the investigation has taken another turn because it had been an undetermined death, and now it's death by trauma by alligator. But the mother is being investigated. Not a twist you want to hear. Not a twist you want to hear. So apparently the mother faced some charges involving her baby just a few years ago, and some of that is resurfacing, and that is a part of this new investigation into the death of this child. So prayers go out to the family. We pray that if there's anybody to be held accountable, that person is held accountable. But families are larger than any one person. Relationships run different kinds of ways. And so there are a number of people in Brian's family. We pray for them, especially with the added fact that his mother is being investigated. So, well, we're going to go to break, and we're going to hear from CES 4-5, we believe, talking about K20 March, and the second line. This is WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Again, I'm Will Sutton, and this is Lois Eli. Welcome back home, and he's here for the Good Morning Show today. This is WBOK 1230 AM, the station that New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good Thursday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Right now, efforts are underway to rid a lagoon of gators after learning that's how 12-year-old Brian Vasquez died. Brian's cause of death has been ruled as blunt force trauma associated with a gator's attack. And new video shows maybe the last images of Brian alive running on a street near the lagoon where he was found. Crews are now working to remove all the alligators from that lagoon. Meantime, the mother of a 3-year-old boy found dead in Harvey is now facing a murder charge. The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office says her little boy, Josiah Wenzy, died at an apartment complex on Manhattan Boulevard earlier this week. Alexis Welsh has since been charged with first-degree murder. The coroner's office ruled the child's death a homicide, saying he died by suffocation. Investigators also say Welsh had what appeared to be self-inflicted cuts on her body. We also dug through civil court records that show a history of domestic abuse allegations in the toddler's home. And more professional golf coming to the Crescent City. Live Golf officially announces a tournament in New Orleans next summer. State leaders say they're comfortable with Live and the PGA Tour's Zurich Classic and want both to succeed. The Zurich is coming off back-to-back record-setting years, and this summer donated more than $3 million to children's charities in the metro area. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by Lowe's.com. Code with Clossie is a nonprofit organization launched to help young women and non-binary teens break into coding. But as artificial intelligence advances, it could defeat the purpose of a coding boot camp like Code with Clossie. Osiami Okparia is CEO of Code with Clossie, and she told Bloomberg at a recent event that her initiative doesn't see itself as just teaching people how to code.
We're actually thinking more broadly than actually time spent hands-on keyboard producing code. There is a lot that you can learn from a set of skills that are durable and transferable when you learn to code. You're learning computational thinking. You're learning a way of solving problems, decomposing them. These are all skills that we believe are transferable to problem solving in any domain.
Code with Clossie is helping young women from all backgrounds get into fields where diversity is lacking. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows tough jobs call for tougher tools. The new DeWalt Elite Series power tool accessories are built to last for the pro who doesn't stop. With precision fitment, durability, and impact resistance, finishing jobs faster has never been easier. Shop the new DeWalt Elite Series at an everyday low price exclusively at Lowe's. We help, you save.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Seems like back to school happens earlier each year.
First day of school coming in hot.
And this year, my kids had massive supply lists.
Folders, notebooks, and pens. Oh, the humanity.
But Staples had everything I needed, with some items just 25 cents.
Watch the small print.
No. My back to school budget was saved by Staples Easy Button.
Everything for school, in stock and as low as 25 cents. Staples.
That was easy.
In store, online, and on the app. Ends 9/13 while supplies last.
Hey, everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks.
And Kimber White Dupree
from the front porch.
Some combos are too good to miss. Now you can pull up a chair to the front porch anytime.
Just search WBOK Media and subscribe to the Front Porch Podcast.
Download, share, and hit us with a 5-star rating because New Orleans culture deserves to be heard loud and clear.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK. Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton. This is WBOK 1230 AM. And I am here with the one and only Lois Eli.
Good morning, sir.
Well, some of our folks may not be familiar with some of your work recently, but thank you for filling us in on that. You did a very important job here for, 12, 13 years?
Indeed, indeed.
And what was that?
A job parallel to one of yours. I was a Metro columnist for the Times-Picayune.
Hey.
I came after the beloved Lisa Frazier and held down that job for a while.
Yep.
And then moved on to television.
Yep. And so you were in an important role. I like to tell people I'm one black man with a platform.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean your opinion isn't important. I got a platform, but I am black. I'm going to be black, and that's going to come through with some of my work.
Yeah.
And black people are not monolithic, and so you might not always agree with my views, but you probably identify with quite a number of them.
Yeah.
So this is Troy Carter Thursdays, folks. And so always we like to hear from our Congressman, Troy Carter. So we got this slot for Troy Carter, and mostly through the year he is available every single Thursday, no matter where he is. But he is traveling today, so he's unable to join us. But he sent a message for us. He recognizes the importance of K20 and what so much of this week is about. So he sent a video that some of you on Facebook may be able to see, and those of you on AM and the internet will be able to hear. So let's hear from our Congressman. Naren's got it lined up. Congressman Troy Carter.
Hello, everyone. I'm Congressman Troy Carter, and I proudly represent Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. It is a pleasure to be with you today. It has now been 20 years since Hurricane Katrina devastated our communities. 20 years since lives were lost, homes destroyed, and families displaced. But it was also a turning point, a moment that forever changed the culture, the priorities, and the resilience of Louisiana. We lost family, we lost friends, we lost ways of life, but we're resilient and we'll never quit. Hurricane Katrina isn't just history, it's personal. We carry the memory with us every single day. And while we remember the pain and the loss, we also draw strength from the courage of the survivors who built their lives and our communities against all odds. They rebuilt things that some said couldn't be rebuilt, some that thought it shouldn't be rebuilt. Their determination inspires us to keep building safer, stronger, and more equitable communities. As storms grow more intense and last longer, our commitment to preparedness and recovery must grow stronger too. That means sound policy, smart investments, and science, not politics, guiding our decisions. As a founding member and co-chair of the Bipartisan Disaster Preparedness and Recovery Caucus, I've made it my mission in Congress to champion these priorities. We're working to advance legislation that strengthens disaster readiness, delivers timely and equitable relief to survivors, and ensure communities can recover fully and swiftly. Preparedness isn't a partisan issue. It's a moral one. So when we reflect on 20 years since Katrina, let's commit to a future where every family has the support they need before, during, and after disaster strikes.
So that was Congressman Troy Carter with a video recorded message to us about Hurricane Katrina. We appreciate the Congressman making time to put some thoughts together and to record the video to share with us this morning. I know you just heard the Congressman's comments. How do you, what do you think in the context of what the Congressman said as we work our way through a week, a 20-year anniversary, not a celebration, but he made, I think, some important points. What are your thoughts?
It was frustrating to me because he got to the most important points last. He began by telling us stuff we all know. Mm-hmm. I want to know what's being done to prevent the next disaster and a damn thing we can do about what happened 20 years ago. I want to talk about how to prepare this community and other communities around the country. That's what he talked about at the end. I don't need to know that lives were lost during Katrina. I was here. I don't need to know that there's this great disaster. I want to know what we're doing now. And so it's kind of frustrating to me that he led with the platitudes and then got to the substance. You know, man.
So what would you have preferred him to say if he started with the end first?
Yeah.
Where might he have taken that?
Give us some more detail on what this disaster preparedness committee is doing, what it's attempting to do, what its successes and failures have been, and give us some sense of the areas in which it's looking into, both geographic and engineering-wise and so forth. There's a kind of militancy that I think is necessary in this moment because we see other tragedies around the country where infrastructure is in danger of failing. The American Society of Civil Engineers, every 5 years, releases a report talking about endangered infrastructure in the country. And we've gone from, I believe, a grade of a D to like a C minus, in part because of Biden's infrastructure program from a couple of years ago. A grade of a C minus, if your kid came home with all C minuses, you would not be happy.
No.
We as a nation cannot afford to be satisfied with that. And that's what I'd like to see addressed. I know what happened during Katrina. I don't know what's happening now to minimize the potential of another disaster like that. That's what I want to hear from my representatives.
Okay. So I hear you. And I'll say this in his defense. He comes on every week and gives us updates. He usually identifies some key national issues that are being discussed and provides some context for us to talk about why it's important to us and even why we should be outraged and why he likes to talk about 3 C's, and the last C is community. So he mentions that every week. And his point with the third C is that we are an important part of what happens and therefore what doesn't happen. Because if we don't get involved, then those voices aren't heard. We do elect people like him to represent us in Congress and also in city council, and regardless of who you voted for governor, state rep, senator, and all. But your voice is still important. So one of the things I like about this K20 week is that there are a number of conversations like that that are happening. Because one of the things that I hope for our city is that acknowledge what happened, lessons learned, mistakes made, and what have we done already? Where have there been successes out of this tragedy, and how we move things forward to see in some cases that some of these horrible things don't happen again and make life better. Because one of the things that I hope for is, you know, we with Katrina every year, but particularly this year, it's like before Katrina, after Katrina, before Katrina, after Katrina. The reality is before Katrina, everything wasn't wonderful. Not everything was wonderful. There were some good things, but not everything was wonderful. And so there's some things pre-Katrina I don't want to go back to. I want a better New Orleans, which I think ties into what you were just saying.
Well, I certainly agree with you on that. And I think a lot of the evaluation of what was wrong pre-Katrina fits. People have this sort of pat analysis. So they decide that public schools were bad and therefore charter schools would be this great improvement. It's like, well, you thought that that was your opinion regardless of what happened with the flood. And so I think those kind of analyses in some ways miss the point. But in terms of how we move forward, the potential to rebuild something better and stronger, certainly we'd all applaud that. What we have to agree on at best is what the problems were and how best they can be solved. And a lot of them I don't think were properly addressed. I mean, what folks often miss is, in fact, this is what Andronika is going to talk about, I believe. It's a whole lot of money in disaster relief. Times-Picayune had a great series about what happened with money for blue tarps on roofs. And the amount of money spent per roof would have put a new roof on the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of money that the guy at the bottom actually did the work got was negligible.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a whole lot of money spent. And it's like, wait a minute. If the point is to rebuild this community in a way that's broader than merely blue roofs, then perhaps we should exert a little more scrutiny on where the money is going and how these decisions are made. That's the kind of analysis that I find most important in a time like this.
Yeah. So you're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. This is the Good Morning Show. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. The voice you're hearing is Will Sutton. That's me. And the voice you just heard is Lois Eli, and that's him. For those of you all who are on Facebook Live, welcome to Good Morning Show. And for those of you who are listening on the internet and on AM radio, thank you for tuning in. All of you all have the opportunity to call in and join this conversation if you wish. 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Of course, this is the eve of Hurricane Katrina's actual anniversary, August 29th. We'll talk about Katrina today as well as some other news, and we'll talk about Hurricane Katrina tomorrow. And once again, and we're going to touch on this a couple of different times, but once again, you've got an event tonight, and that is going to be open to the public. I believe there was an opportunity for people to RSVP.
Mm-hmm.
But tell us some of the deets on the date, time, place, and then a little bit more about the program.
Gotcha. Well, the event is entitled The State of New Orleans Culture 20 Years After Katrina, and it's being put on by Ella, which is the Entertainment Legal Clinic. And it's going to be from 5 to 8 tonight at the New Orleans Jazz Museum, which is in the New Orleans Mint on Esplanade Avenue at the edge of the French Quarter. Beautiful building. And we're going to have a lot of culture bearers there. Bruce Sunpie Barnes. Delphio Marcellus. Yeah. And Jordan Hirsch, who led. Got a lot of good folks. And the hope is to remind our city that what makes us so distinct is our culture. I mean, the oil industry is a big deal, but they got oil industries all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
The fisheries are important, but they're most important when New Orleans chefs put their genius to work on those things.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd like to be aware of the extent to which our culture is the thing that we most need to preserve. And the health of our culture is in very many ways an indication of the health or lack of health of our community.
So you'll be moderating that event, correct?
I'll be moderating the panel. But it's going to be hard because you got a whole lot of folks who got plenty to say on their own. So get them to share the stage.
I was just thinking, well, let me pick one of those, and they could probably do 2 hours.
Indeed.
All right. So again, that's 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
5 to 8 at the New Orleans
5 to 8.
Mint. Yeah.
Okay. Now, does the program start at 5, or do the doors open at 5?
Program starts at 5.
Ooh. Okay. So for those who may not have been to the Jazz Museum recently, it's a wonderful building, great architecture, great spaces, but if you're going to attend this program, you might not want to show up at 5:10.
Yeah.
You might not want to show up at 5 or 4:58 if you'd like to attend the program and have a seat, because I suspect with that lineup, there'll be a lot of folks coming out.
It is not the biggest space.
No.
One of the best.
It's a wonderful space.
Yeah.
And, one of the nice things is that, we got some cool spaces here, but not every space is the best for audio AV programming. This space is. It really, really is. And I love the programming that they do. And it's a great place to visit, even without an event. It's really, because it really does speak to our culture and our background in this city. So we've got some other things that have been happening, and one of those things is that, Louisiana has decided to ask the Supreme Court to overturn a key part of the Voting Rights Act and invalidate the map that we just drew through the state legislature. And so now our Attorney General, Liz Murrill, wants to be on the side of saying we don't need two majority black districts or two minority majority districts, as some call it. And here's what she had to say in a release, because I want you to hear some of her words. The Constitution forbids sorting voters by race and telling legislators drawing maps to think about race but not think too much about race is an untenable standard. Not to think too much about race. Her words, not mine. I'm just emphasizing. We have consistently argued that the U.S. Supreme Court's redistricting jurisprudence needs to be drastically changed or overruled by requiring state legislators to draw maps that sort voters by race. It forces us to violate the federal Constitution. So this is the 6th congressional district that was created by the predominantly supermajority Republican state legislature. Did they want to do it? No. But the court said, this is what's fair, and you will do it. And they did it. And now she's saying, but it shouldn't have been done, and we need to take it away. So there's the Louisiana Calais court case that's being reheard this fall before the U.S. Supreme Court. And that deals with Senate Bill 8, which created that congressional district. But that would take it away. And not only would it take it away, it would be a significant precedent for congressional districts across the nation. So I don't know if you heard that news yesterday afternoon and how much you've been watching these developments, but certainly we see what's going on in Texas. We see some backlash happenings in your home away from home in California. But now the Attorney General says, do away with it.
Well, it was a long time that Americans thought that somehow this nation was exceptional, that either God had decided we were going to be different or we were just such good people that we're going to be different. And they're certainly evaluated from the perspective of race, this country has always been as terrible as all the others, except for that brief moment when Martin Luther King Jr. introduced democracy to a country that hadn't known it before. But now what we find is that as the country faces the very real possibility of minorities becoming, or quote-unquote minorities becoming the quote-unquote majority, they are seeking every way possible to abandon democracy to the extent that we have it. And this is just another example of that. So, you know, I think that the nation's ideals have often been violated, but seldom so openly in our generation. There's a whole new assault that, of course, has nothing to do with democracy and everything to do with maintaining white supremacy.
Yeah, and, you know, with some of the other things that are going on in Texas in particular, seems to me that this is laying the groundwork to say, we want a piece of redistricting too.
Well, you could have that happen in every state in the union potentially. Mm-hmm. But part of what's problematic is the extent to which, you know, you said a lot on this show this morning about the importance of voting. Mm-hmm. But as you well know, once that person gets in, they're not obligated to do what you've asked them to do. Mm-hmm. Part of what we have in this situation is you will not even have the opportunity to elect these people who will or will not exercise your will in Congress.
Right. I'm going to read Congressman Cleo Fields' statement, and then we're going to go to break. Congressman Mills issued a statement saying, in a case as important as redistricting, there is no reason why SB 8 should not be defended fully and faithfully. Louisiana Revised Statute 49257 provides that the Attorney General may represent the state's interests whenever the validity of a state law is challenged. That responsibility exists for a reason. The people deserve to know that the laws passed by their elected legislature will be given a full and fair defense. I just have to believe that the Attorney General should be willing to defend the work of the people's representatives. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll talk about it some more. We're going to go to break, and then we'll have Seth 45. He is in the building, and I appreciate all of the attention this week on K20, and I'm glad we are elevating conversations and bringing people into the conversations day by day. And we've got another opportunity for that tonight over at the Jazz Museum. But for those who may not have known, Seth 45 been doing this every year. So we're going to hear from Seth right after break. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, the station at New Orleans that's talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Humidity is on the rise once again, so feeling a little less pleasant than previous days. Highs today will be into the upper 80s and the lower 90s, feeling like the mid to upper 90s at some points. We do have a chance for a few scattered afternoon showers and thunderstorms. A lot of us, though, will end up staying on the drier side. We do have a much better chance for seeing some rain for Friday on into Saturday. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Will Sutton, and our special guest host, Lois Eli, is with us today. And the talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Right now, we're going to jump into conversation with the man who's been caring about Katrina, not just at 20, but K13, K14, K15, K16.
Yes.
It's been an annual thing, and not just annual thing on that day, but other moments during the year to remind people of what happened and where we as a people are placed in that time, and then coming together to commemorate each year, but also with an eye forward. So welcome to the Good Morning Show, Seth.
Thank you. God is good. God is good.
Yep. So, as I said, so this is something that, yes, you're doing this tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's part of K20 because
Yes.
it's 20th anniversary.
Correct.
But you've been doing this every year. As you know,
Every
my wife
year.
and I come out.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And we support the event, and it's a nice gathering of community. like how it's changed and adjusted through the years. But for those who may not know, before we talk about tomorrow, can you talk about how this started and why it's been so important to you to do this each year?
Yeah, definitely. Good morning to all your listeners, and I appreciate you for inviting me to the platform. Of course, it started because of the aftermath of Katrina, and I always be intentional about the aftermath because Katrina passed as a hurricane, and, it was sunny. People was outside on Canal Street, all over the city, and then the levees breached, and then the water came into the city. And, we know what happened with all of the citizens who couldn't evacuate at the Superdome and the convention center. And, I came back, a few weeks after Katrina because I evacuated to Baton Rouge. But I came back a few weeks, saw the ground wet, saw the city, gray, lifeless, no animals around. It was just, it was surreal. But me and my brother participated in a march in 2006, April, with then Mayor Ray Nagin, Mark Morial, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, some citizens. We were going across the Crescent City Connection because they denied Harry Lee, then Sheriff Harry Lee denied folks access to dry land after the aftermath of Katrina. And so we participated in that march, and we got to the end of the march, and only the dignitaries got to speak. So they had people in the march who said, I was in that number of folks who, they wouldn't let through. And so I want to share my story. I want to, talk about it. And they wouldn't let them speak. So we left disheartened. Like we was, it felt civil rights while we walking over there. Mm-hmm. But then when they didn't let them speak, it changed our perspective. So we said, man, let's do a march, and we ain't going to let no politician speak. And so August was coming up. The 1-year anniversary was coming up. So we picked that day. And then, we organized and we did the march, added the second line component because of, that's New Orleans. Thousands of people came out, 2006 for the first anniversary of Katrina. So that's how it started.
And you've been doing it every year.
Yeah, every year. Tomorrow will be 20 years in a row, the #1 consistent grassroots organization, just honoring our folks, our people, honoring the lives of the folks who lost their lives, and also just lifting up, all of the people who came back to rebuild and make sure New Orleans stay the great city that it was.
Yeah. So obviously there was so much that happened on that day, but so much more that happened after August 29th. This week I've been telling people, especially people away, and then reminding anybody who wants to talk about it, that I'm glad we have a day that we are leading up to talk about what happened and what can happen. But I want to remind folks generally, but particularly those folks who are away, that what really happened on August 30th, August 31st, September 1st, September 2nd, September 3rd, September 5th.
Yes.
2005, 2006, 2007.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's what really, really happened.
Thanks.
So it's like, okay, there's this day and there's this pinpoint. We all have a birthday, and it's like, oh, pause and, happy birthday. But what happens between this birthday and the next birthday?
Yeah.
What about that? So tell us a little bit about tomorrow. How similar is it going to be for those of us who've been going, and for somebody who hasn't gone before? What should they expect? I mean, for instance, I'm going to go ahead and put some words in your mouth.
Okay.
It's not a we start here, end here, we're here in this one spot kind of thing.
Right. Facts.
Okay.
Yeah. So tomorrow, meet us at 11 a.m. Jordan Avenue in North Galvez in the Lower 9th Ward. If you need an address, we use 2009 Jordan Avenue, and we have a opening, message, a prayer from Pastor Troy Lawrence. You know, he have the church reaping the harvest in the lower Ninth Ward, and he opens it up, and then we have this libation ceremony where we call out the names of the folks who passed. So we have a program with different speakers also. Reverend Yearwood of the Hip Hop Caucus. We actually have former Vice President Al Gore will be there tomorrow.
What?
Also, yeah, Congressman Troy Carter.
You getting the congressman out?
Yeah, we got. I'm bringing everybody out. We got so
Al Gore's coming.
Al Gore's coming. A number of Oliver Thomas, a number of elected officials coming through, and the community leaders, Mia X, hip hop community, Sonny Patterson, Tracy Washington. We bringing out.
Stepping it up.
Yeah, it's 20 years. So all year we've been working on this, commemoration to do it way bigger than any of the other 19. So this is like a milestone to us. We're not gonna get 20 again. And I was thinking about similar to what you were saying about like the birthday, right? To me, this is Nola's 20th birthday. I'm from New Orleans. We from New Orleans, but Nola came out of post Katrina, so I feel like it's Nola's 20th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
But so we have that ceremony. We have a lot of youth, the Congo kids, Mama Sharice, Queen Sharice, and the Witch Doctor piece that's going to happen there. And we have the march that starts at 12, and then we go over the St. Claude Bridge, and the second line portion starts. So we had this samba march with drumming from Baba Luther Gray and Baba Kamal, and we have a rally at Hunters Field at the end. So it ends at Hunters Field. So we go from the lower Ninth Ward to the upper Ninth Ward, 8th Ward, and then we end in the 7th Ward at Hunters Field, and we have a rally hosted by Wild Wayne with performances from Mia X, Flag Boy Giz, Irvin Mayfield, Shamar Allen, Free Community Concert, Hot Boy Ronald, Kaz May, just a number of great New Orleans musicians, Tanya Boy Cannon, and we have some speakers also at Hunters Field, so we'll see some amazing speakers.
So you want folks to be with you for the journey from 11 o'clock on, but for let's say the elders who might not walk or dance for that stretch, about what time should they show up over at Hunters Field?
So the elders should show up about 1 p.m. and get a good spot. We have some shaded tents, for the elders. But the elders they should come to the lower Ninth Ward, come early as well, 10 o'clock, and get you a good space. But then just take a ride. Just
It's
drive.
okay. It's okay.
Just drive over the bridge and meet us, by Hunters after the program.
Okay. So did you know all this was going on?
I had no idea. I'm glad to hear it. It's interesting that our parades have gotten to be political in the way that I don't remember them being political prior to the flood, in the sense that people are like, we out here in the street, not just to show off, not just to have a good time, but also to make a statement. So I think it's beautiful that the range of things you got going on, the range of people you got involved, shows who we are and what we about. So that's off to you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think you two guys have met before. And Lois was Times-Picayune columnist for 12, 13 years. Yeah. And did a number of other things in the community. Son of Mr. Attorney Civil Rights activist Lois Eli. You're not the first one.
No, I am not.
Big Daddy did a lot of things for us to get us to where we are, working with other folks and making things happen and doing some things through marches and protests and demonstrations, and also through the courtroom and the legal system. And Big Treme base, and Lois had the wonderful opportunity to work on HBO's Treme series.
Okay.
And Seth has been there and working grassroots. And through the grassroots, some other folks have gotten to know Seth and all that he's about.
And doing music too.
But music and clothing and entrepreneurship, and so there's this activism in him, but he's also a businessman.
Yes,
as well.
Yeah, they actually used my music and in Treme, in the series Treme. Got a nice check from that too. So but they also used the scene. So in 2007, we was fighting. I don't want to say we was fighting, but we was in city council when they was, voting to demolish the housing projects. And we went there and, we didn't go to fight, we went to just voice our opinion, but they locked everybody out.
No, they came to fight.
Well, yeah, I guess they came to fight.
Yeah,
and,
right.
I remember this was his name. He then went on to baseball. He said,
Arnie
Fielko said to the cops there, enforce our laws. That still angers me to this day. The idea that somehow we're going to enforce our laws against our citizens so that we can destroy this public housing that people need. It's seldom been so obvious to me how duplicitous and dishonest and immoral our city council members are.
Definitely.
My contempt for them grew in that moment and has yet never subsided.
Yeah, but it was tough for me to be in the city council like 20 years later because in June 12th, I went to the city council this year, and working with the council, we made August 29th a city holiday. So this is the first year. Tomorrow will be the first year that August 29th is a city holiday. And that was a great accomplishment from all the work we've been doing over the years. But only city employees get the day off.
Sure.
So we still working to make it a state holiday where the citizens get the day off. But knowing that, 18 years ago, I was in the city council where the city council voted against, the wishes of the people. And here, 18 years later, they're like, kind of celebrating us, the same people that was in there, who you were against us for sticking up for the people. So, but I think this is a better city council, but nevertheless,
Wonderful. All right. Well, we're going to be wrapping up this segment and going to break. Our producer has allowed us to go over our time a little bit. So that's one thing about our little black radio station. We don't have to be so structured according to the whatever organization. And
yes.
And we can be flexible with our people and our folks and our listeners. So I love it. So you're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. Remember, the talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. You're hearing our voices. We're happy to share our voices, our thoughts with you, some news and information, but we want to hear what's on your mind. 504-582-9422. WBOK 1230 AM, the station that New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. 5 people were injured in a South LA strip mall shooting. 1 person is critical and 2 are serious. LA's Black Mayor Karen Bass says they will find who did this.
We will find the perpetrators of this crime and hold them accountable.
The suspects fled in getaway cars and are still at large. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Board of Trustees met to ensure schools comply with anti-DEI policies before a September 1st deadline. The new equality policy cuts 20 DEI roles and realigns 27 others, saving over $5 million. And Prince Jackson is engaged to longtime girlfriend Molly Shermaine. He honored his late father Michael Jackson in the announcement and shared photos with family. Prince is also promoting his charity work and working on the upcoming biopic Michael, set for April 2026. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This year marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina changed our city and our schools forever. New Schools for New Orleans is sharing After the Storm, a special series reflecting on the past 2 decades of change and progress in public education. Through videos, personal stories, and a powerful interactive timeline and data dashboard, we explore how our schools recovered, transformed, grew, and what that progress means for our students today. Discover the videos, data, resources, and stories behind the 20 years of change at newschoolsforneworleans.org/Katrina20.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. You're listening to WBOK, 1230 a.m. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. As I've told you already, you're hearing our voices, and we're happy to share them with you, but we'd like to hear what you have to say. 504-582-9422. I am Will Sutton. That's this voice, and there's another voice that's been with us this morning. Say good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
This is Lois Eli, and former Times-Picayune columnist. Tremendous. You know, I was just reading some of your stuff the other day. I was like, man, this brother's good. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm thankful to be there, but it's like, this brother's good. You know? Yeah, but thankful for the journey that you've, in this newer chapter that you've had with Treme, and with film writing and movies, and so glad that you've had additional success in representing the city out in L.A. I got cousins out in L.A., just kind of give you a little NOLA flavor, context. Because we all, it wasn't just Katrina that caused some people to move away. There were different family circumstances. Yeah, and in my case, I won't go into all of the story, but for a number of reasons, my grandmother moved to L.A. And there were reasons for that and all. And so I have relatives who grew up in L.A. But I went to my second cousin's birthday bash last year. And you would have thought you were in New Orleans. That boy ain't from here. It's like they got the beads and they're doing this and doing the second line. They got the handkerchief. I was like, what? So our culture does run deep. And I was just jotting something last night, and in what I've written, I don't know where it'll show up or if it will. I said, y'all will be thankful that we shared some of our culture with y'all through all of this.
Right.
You know?
Right. That's right. That's right.
All right. So right now we're going to jump into conversation with Andronika Morris from Housing NOLA. And I love the title of this particular one. Let me just say, if you wanted a deeper dive than fixed housing, Monday was the spot to be at Ashe's Powerhouse, because deep dive, and the information is available.
Yes.
For those who want to know more about what has happened.
Right.
But this one that you're talking about today is Katrina 20, where the money went and how to spend it better the next time. Woo! And one of the things that we were talking about this morning is appreciating the anniversary, and all these bad things happen and all of that. But what about the next 20?
Right.
What about the next 20?
Are we ready?
So welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Thank you.
Good to see you another time this week.
Yes.
And happy to have you in studio to talk with our listeners about this particular one, but how's it in the context of Katrina 20?
That's right. So you guys had our partner in crime, our member of the Katrina 20 Local Planning Committee, SAS 45, on we passing as we do for this whole week of action. And one of the things that was important to everybody about the planning committee, the local planning committee, was that we talked about what the people wanted to know. And so it was easy for us at Housing NOLA to talk about the housing report. And we're going to talk about that more on the Put Housing First show next week, next Tuesday, as we are on every Tuesday on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. But today we're going to focus on this because there was a number of committees, and Asali Ecclesiastes and I were co-chairs of the advocacy and electeds committees. And so we wanted to talk about how we're going to manage all these people coming around, glad handing, wanting to celebrate. One of the things that the local planning committee wanted to avoid that happened at Katrina 10 was the attempts by elected officials to figuratively land on an aircraft carrier with a mission accomplished sign behind them, right? Because we knew it wasn't over. Community knew it wasn't over. There was a lot of work that needed to be done. This time, what we wanted to be more clear about that, especially given what's going on with FEMA and what's going on with our federal authorities. If we think back to 20 years, the failures at the city, state, and federal level, the collapse of government was in response to the crisis. We're seeing that collapse, or at least a purposeful shift away from government serving people at the state and federal level. So what does that mean when the next one comes? And also giving people a chance, because that's another big piece of the week of action. It's let's talk about what's happened, and let's talk about how we move forward. So we wanted this to be a place where policymakers, and we haven't invited. There's one elected official who is not running for office who's on the program tonight, but none of them are there to talk at community. They're there to listen, hear this data, because a lot of people don't know this information about how much money we got and where it went and who made those decisions. And then also hear community talk about what we need to prepare for the next one, what we need our government to do, what we need those with power, how we need them to wield it. And community is going to wield its power tonight and make those demands and make those plans for moving forward. So that's the point of tonight. That's what we're talking about.
All right.
And it's going to be we've done this twice before. Because this is also the local planning committee is not just about New Orleans. It's also about what happened. Katrina happened in Mississippi, and it happened in Alabama. So part of this was also doing the research for Mississippi, for Alabama. So we did this in Mississippi. We did it in Alabama on Sunday, and Mississippi on Tuesday, around events that those citizens curated, right? We're just here to give you the information. Y'all have to talk about what this means and what you want to do about it, what you're going to be doing about it. Alabama is actually in the middle of elections like we are. That's also part of the reason that we were in Pritchard, Alabama, and they're in the middle of elections. They've got elections this weekend.
Right.
And so we didn't want it to be campaign stops, but we also wanted, again, there's an opportunity to take action, to demand more of your leaders, and set some expectations, right? That the failures, the calamity at the federal and state level are actually not excuses for you not to do what you're supposed to do.
Right. And here in New Orleans, I would put the Housing Trust Fund in that context.
Yes, that's right.
Because was that directly connected to Katrina? No.
Nope. But
did we need housing before Katrina?
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
Did we have a need for different kinds of housing because of Katrina? Yes. Did we have any dedicated money? No.
Oh, we did. There was only a couple million, and it was not being used all for housing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And we had to lose that investment strategy. I mean, because again, our leaders weren't doing what they were supposed to do. Right? They weren't following their own rules in some instances of deploying the money. And then we lost it, right? In this, again, foreshadowing, we've been talking to folks and reminding them that Louisiana and New Orleans are their future if they're not careful. That the things that are happening federally have already been experimented and tried here in Louisiana to various degrees of success. And this is another really perfect example of that, where the folks in charge of the levers of government, because of their own their reactions to the systemic inequities, they're getting pushed by their donors, they're getting pushed by other policymakers who want them to direct resources away from the citizens' needs and towards things that will just make more money and allow them to extract more. They do things like, screw around with housing and screw around with housing money to make a self-fulfilling prophecy that, well, this doesn't work, so let's just go ahead and do away with it. Let's go ahead and dispense with it. And then when the people go, well, we need this, but we don't trust you, so yeah, we're going to vote against this, right? They're like, hey, see, they don't want this. They don't want affordable housing. They don't want it. That's why and it's like, you did your job badly, and that's what happened. It was a reflection of your lack of imagination, your lack of principles, and the voters responded to that. And so what we did with the trust fund was we talked to community and said, we know you understand this issue. What's the problem? And they told us, they were like, we don't trust these people. We don't trust the council. We don't trust the mayor. And we know we need more housing, but we don't trust them to do it. And interestingly enough, that's something we've heard not just in New Orleans. We've heard that in Baton Rouge. We've heard that in Houma. We've heard that in Shreveport. We've heard that in Lake Charles and Lafayette and Monroe. It's a theme across the state, white and black, are saying, especially on these big issues like climate change and housing, we know we need to do better. We don't trust these clowns. And because they're not the leaders who can do this. So we said, okay, let's figure out what we can put together, what plans we could put together that meet your needs. Number one with the bullet was no tax. And that was one of the issues with the NIF. The Neighborhood Housing Improvement Fund was 30 years old when we lost it. So this current administration were not responsible for putting it in place, but it never made a lot of sense that we would tax property to build affordable housing and to improve neighborhoods, right? It's not the best way to do that, right? And because you're adding costs to housing, no matter how you slice it, you're adding costs to housing. And so they said no tax. It can't be a tax. It cannot be a new property tax. And at that point, the insurance crisis was getting under full swing. They're like, we can't vote for it if it's that. And also one thing that people don't understand is renters contribute to the tax base. And that was also part of the tension, right, with the taxes. Like, well, we don't want our money going towards those people. And it's like, well, number one, renters contribute to property taxes, right? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, where the landlord get the money to pay his property taxes?
Right.
From their rent.
Right.
And if he needs more money because his taxes go up, he or she increases their rent.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, still no tax, right? But we're like, no problem. But just be clear, we've got to talk about our money being our money. And they were open to that. They were open to take some of our money, the money we already contribute, and prioritize that. And so we came up with 2% dedicated in perpetuity to
voters approved this.
The voters approved this overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
And,
So this is like one of these low turnout kind of things.
And it was not.
And, right. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, you're way closer to this than I am. But there was no major brand name support.
No, other than we had 2 current electeds, 1 council member leading the charge, no other stated significant support. We had people sign on to things, and the council unanimously passed it to put it on the ballot. We thank them for that. But they have a tendency of voting all all 7 of them vote for good things and bad things, almost as if they if you don't want to get the blame because you go, oh, me and my colleagues, you can't get the credit either. You just keep all doing, all unanimously voting for stuff. But we thank them for that. But we thank most importantly the people of New Orleans. Because the Times-Picayune came out against this. The
editorial.
We had a couple of our local political organizations came out against it. The so-called good government think tank, the BGR, came out against it. And and there were and again the argument was, well, housing's so important. We don't need this money being locked up this way. No one will fail to invest in housing because they know how important it is. That's literally what the executive director of the Bureau of Governmental Research said on record was, we don't need this because people know how serious this is. And what was hilarious about that was the backup that everybody was touting. Say, this is good enough. The council passed a trigger law, if you will. If the people didn't vote to dedicate this, we still care about affordable housing. So let's put together a trigger law that was also put as the backup unanimously that allowed them to count money to say, well, we're gonna match this moving forward, and they would have to do it annually and renew it. The problem is the backup wasn't a backup and it wasn't close, right? The estimates were the trust fund could generate as much as $17 million a year. And they would be allowed to meet that match in the backup by counting any money, including money they got from HUD, to count towards their pledge. So no new money would be available. And so those are the kind of things that when you're talking about investing in communities, you've got to, people have to be engaged around. And they have to know where the money is, and they have to know they know their needs. They bring their needs with them. But they also have to understand the options for addressing them. So that's why we want tonight to have this facilitated policy conversation. We're still finalizing the lineup because people are moving around. But right now we've got Flozell Daniels and PSC Commissioner Devontae Lewis on deck to be a part of the conversation.
All right.
And so, so we do want a mix of experts and people who we have empowered.
Yeah,
but this is not a campaign event.
Well, we got a caller, and you're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, the station that New Orleans is talking about all day long. And right now, we're going to keep going because the producer said we can. So we're talking with Andronika Morris of Housing NOLA, and she's talking about the program scheduled for tonight at 6 p.m. Katrina at 20, where the money went, and how to spend it better next time. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Right now, we've got Reverend Calhoun on the phone. Reverend Calhoun, good morning.
Good morning to all.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'd just like to understand some things. I understand that they had allotted $68 billion to come to New Orleans. One of the problems I had, why was our teachers fired if we had all this type of money coming? But my question is, how much redlining you think went on to stop the Lower Nine from receiving a house that was of the same size, of the same value that a house in Lakeview was, but they got 150, and the max that people were getting down here was 60. Right. So was redlining and is redlining still an impact on restoring our communities back? And I'll just hang back and listen.
Thank you so much, Reverend Calhoun, for that question. Well, and I've never heard it phrased like that. It's interesting because, of course, redlining is a practice that's not done, but is actually, at least the official policies around it have been pushed aside. And I think Reverend Calhoun is right in a way, because certainly the consequence of redlining, the issues of pre-storm valuation would absolutely have to be connected to redlining. The lack of investment in communities like the Lower Ninth Ward, the lack of services pre-Katrina, the lack of big assets, and the lack of valuation, because the way we do valuations, typically now we think about it as we're very focused on the appraisal issues itself, right? We know that proximity to whiteness is a part of the valuations that unfortunately, because this is a systemic problem. It's not simply because appraisers are biased and prejudiced. It's a systemic problem that automatically feeds upon itself. If the house next door and the house down the street, if all of these folks is all valued at these low levels, that it's hard for people to build wealth. And if you can't see a modest increase in the property value, you're not building wealth. And especially when something like Katrina hits. So I think Reverend Calhoun is right that redlining absolutely played a role. It was more historic, and it laid the foundation for what we had when Katrina hit, where modest homes in a majority Black neighborhood were undervalued compared to modest homes in and not even majority white, just neighborhoods with more white people, right? And but also the issue was the fundamental flaw in the program design. The idea that you got appropriated for each person $150,000. Activists and advocates fought hard to get Congress, and Congress did what they were supposed to do. The Bush administration played politics, that's well documented. But then the Blackwell administration went along with some of this by designing a program, listening to experts and saying, and again, this is the systemic part. There was, through a lot of this notion of, well, we don't want them to get more than they had before, right? And what you got to start with is, if you're the road home, how do you get people home, right? Post-Katrina, construction costs skyrocketed. So no matter what the house was worth before, what did it cost to bring that person home inside the $150,000 cap that you had? That should have been the calculation. Instead, it was the lesser of the two values, right? This notion that you don't want them to get too much. So if your construction costs were $125,000 to repair and your house was worth $175,000, then the 125 is what you got. But if the construction cost was $125,000 and your house was valued $80,000, you got capped at 80. And so the entire frame, we always want to make sure that again, when we're having these conversations, we're going back to the decisions, the original decisions, because that's where you find the systemic bias. Yes, the program in practice, there were a number of challenges. The administrator that the state selected was infamously terminated and then sued successfully several times and got recaptured money. And you know how bad you gotta be at something for the state of Louisiana to fire you and successfully sue you and get money back? Right. And then, but also, again, looking at some of the decisions, those folks have gone on to work in Puerto Rico and Texas. And I was on a call with some of our national partners yesterday where we were talking about this, and they were sharing, they're coming to work with us. And I'm like, in New Jersey.
Whoa.
And I'm like, this, okay.
Look how good we are, but don't look too close.
Right. That's right. That's right.
We've had experience. I won't tell you what kind.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, my.
Yeah. We helped out after Katrina. It's like, which program? The Road Home.
They did a heck of a job.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right.
All right. So that is Katrina at 20, where the money went and how to spend it better next time. 6 p.m. tonight at Tulane Small Center, 1725 Barone. Do you have to register?
Yes, we want people to register. It's you can go online and find it, and you can also call our office at 504-224-8300, 504-224-8300 to get registered that way and come on down.
Okay, do the doors open at 6 or do you start the program at 6?
We're opening the doors at 6. We're shifting it from the other day. We're going to have dinner, but we're opening the doors at 6.
What?
We're going to have a quick dinner.
Well,
yes.
Education, information, and food?
Yeah.
Welcome to New Orleans.
Listen, I was about to say, that's been one of the most interesting things post-Katrina with the advocacy and engagement work and the organizing that we've been doing. Is you could tell the transplants and the folks who came to help really tried to help, but they struggled with the food.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'd walk into meetings and it's lunchtime, and I had to tell people, I'm like, look, if you invite people to your house at a mealtime, there better be a meal.
Yeah, right.
Not a snack, not a, and think about, and there's been some interesting conversations around, food and health and things like that, right? Yeah, you don't have to have boxes of chicken. Please don't, in fact. Just in fact, please do not.
Yeah.
But think about a meal that you would serve your family, that you would serve that people need sustenance and nourishment and things like that. So that's been a pretty big staple of our work, and it also is often a drawing point. Like we'd have people be like, let's go to the Ganoha meeting. They got lunch. Well, they're gonna have lunch and information. Let's roll through that.
I wanted to go for the information and the deep dive, but I heard there was lunch, so I enjoyed that Caesar salad on Monday.
That's
and the mixed veggies.
That's right.
Woo! And there was other thing. It's like I can't eat all this food.
Yeah, no, we always want to make sure that there's a mixture of good food, but also healthy options and things that people can choose, and that's that we can't do anything else.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing this information and context about where we've been and where we ought to be going. Obviously, there'll be much more of that conversation tonight at 6 p.m. at the Tulane Small Center at 1725 Barone Street. And you can call the office, the Hasanola office, and you can otherwise find it online, and I'm sure you can find it on Instagram.
Yes,
as well.
Yes, that's right.
If you want to go. And so a lot of good education, good information, and dinner, too.
Dinner, yes. Dinners do we serve.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. And if there's some more that you can share with us after this exhausting but important week.
So
I hope you'll come back. And, of course, let's remind our listeners that you can do what I do and listen every week.
On we every week we come on. WBOK has been a longtime partner of our work, and so we have a show called Put Housing First every Tuesday at 12 noon, where we talk about what it means to put housing first and how we put people first. And one teaser is $72 billion is the headline number for New Orleans that we're going to be breaking down tonight. $72 billion for Louisiana. $72 billion. And that's not just housing. We want to make sure we're clear about that. We're talking about money that went to infrastructure and education. And these are federal dollars. These are the monies that were appropriated to help bring us back. What, y'all feel like y'all live in a community, a state that got $72 billion? And that was, again, this was the money that came in the 10 years after Katrina.
Right. All right. Well, I appreciate the extension and the flexibility, Mr. Producer, but I hear the music. So we're going to go on to break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about news and information you want and need to know, and we're going to chop it up a little bit more about Katrina and Katrina 20. Things going on today, tomorrow, this weekend. And let me just say, as somebody who's trying to get it all, I can't do it.
No.
So pace yourself. Choose the subject matters of importance to you and pace yourself. Get your rest, because there's so much, and it's so much good content. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, the station that New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good Thursday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Right now, efforts are underway to rid a lagoon of gators after learning that's how 12-year-old Brian Vasquez died. Brian's cause of death has been ruled as blunt force trauma associated with a gator's attack. And new video shows maybe the last images of Brian alive running on a street near the lagoon where he was found. Crews are now working to remove all the alligators from that lagoon. Meantime, the mother of a 3-year-old boy found dead in Harvey is now facing a murder charge. The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office says her little boy, Josiah Wenzy, died at an apartment complex on Manhattan Boulevard earlier this week. Alexis Welsh has since been charged with first-degree murder. The coroner's office ruled the child's death a homicide, saying he died by suffocation. Investigators also say Welsh had what appeared to be self-inflicted cuts on her body. We also dug through civil court records that show a history of domestic abuse allegations in the toddler's home. And more professional golf coming to the Crescent City. Live Golf officially announces a tournament in New Orleans next summer. State leaders say they're comfortable with Live and the PGA Tour Zurich Classic and want both to succeed. The Zurich is coming off back-to-back record-setting years, and this summer donated more than $3 million to children's charities in the metro area. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. This is Will Sutton. The talk line is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. You're hearing our voices. We'd like to hear yours. Thank you, Reverend Calhoun, for coming in online. And thank you for those of you all who are on Facebook. I see you. We are talking about Katrina today and mixing in some of the local news. There are a lot of things going on across the week. We also, take time to look at some other things that are going on that you might want to know. I mean, one of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier that we could have talked about for 20, 30 minutes, but we'll take some time to talk about it now, is the Louisiana attack on the constitutionality of the key parts of the voting rights and how that might change things in this state and be a precedent for what happens elsewhere.
Well, we can't forget that the Supreme Court already weakened the Voting Rights Act in the Holder case. This is, 10 years ago.
Yep.
And so we're talking about is an attack on a law that is already much weaker than its original intention was.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep talking about how important the vote is, but if this attempt to weaken the legislation passes, it means that your vote will matter even less.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're always guaranteed that your candidate will lose, then your vote really doesn't matter a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And in essence, this will guarantee that progressive candidates from minority communities will have a far less chance of winning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we find ourselves in a bit of a catch-22. We have far too many brothers and sisters saying, I don't even participate in voting because it doesn't matter. They're going to do what they're going to do. And then we have things like this development with the Attorney General saying, shouldn't have been done in the first place. And Supreme Court, we're changing our position. We did this, but it'd be better if we just go back to one congressional district in the state. And so then, some decisions get made, and it's like for the brothers and sisters saying, you see?
Will, I got to push back on that because what Andrew Nico was saying, Oh, I'm sorry. What CES 45 was saying is that when the people said we don't want you to destroy public housing, the city council voted unanimously to destroy public housing.
Yeah.
A lot of times they do exactly the opposite of what the voters want because there are other interests to whom they are beholden. So I understand when people say we need to vote. And I vote every time. I'm what a friend of mine used to call a habitual voter.
Yes.
But I'm also aware of the limits of it. Who said, who made the statement, if voting really mattered? I think it was Mark Twain. If voting changed things, it'd be illegal.
Mm-hmm.
There's an extent to which that is true.
Yeah.
But there's also an extent to which it's absolutely false. And we got a responsibility to at least try.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear you. And, that's one of the reasons I like talking to smart people with some different perspectives and even different points of view. The Housing Trust Fund that we were talking about is, I think, a perfect example because it's not like there was this top shelf level of support. We have to do this and this is the right thing for you to do. That's not what happened. The people said, we have to fix this. This is a way to fix it. It's not going to fix everything. We've been piddling around with this thing. It's not enough money. And what happens is there's money, but year to year, we don't know how much because they're balancing with other needs. We need a dedicated fund. And then let's talk about what to do with the dedicated fund. So we're at the beginning of that. So the voters have approved it with or without your support, Madam or Mr. elected officials and brand name companies and so forth. But now we got the money that will be coming, as Andronika said, 2026. But meanwhile, now's the time to say, okay, what does that look like? So it's not like what the voters passed had all the nuts and bolts and I's dotted, T's crossed, and all of that. So now is our chance to work on that. So we shouldn't just say, oh, great, it was successful, let's move on to the next thing. No, the work has to continue to figure out what that's going to look like. And that's similar to what is going to be, they're going to be talking about tonight at their program is the next time. And $72 billion of money can do a lot of things, but which things and for who?
Exactly. There's a great book, Disaster Capitalism, by Canadian writer Naomi Klein, talking about the extent to which, when it comes to this rebuilding, there are few large companies that end up doing the bulk of the work and getting the bulk of the money, and ends up being big money. And the job of these corporations is less about satisfying the need than it is about satisfying shareholders. So that $72 billion, I can assure you, didn't come into our pockets.
Right.
Be interested in sort of calculating how much that would have been for each victim of Katrina if they had, sort of, exactly. You might not be sitting here right now. You'd be on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Well, we've got more of the show to go, and we're going to be taking another break soon. But I do want to mention that the Mayor LaToya Cantrell's office has been ordered to stop charging public schools and taking money off of the top from school tax revenues that the city collects on behalf of the Orleans Parish School Board. So as those of you who've been following this know, there's a great divide between the mayor and city council about this, and certainly the school board says they want their money, and there is a scheduled a hearing for September 4th to talk about a longer-term solution. But right now, the judge issued a temporary restraining order on Tuesday after 3 of the public charter school organizations filed a petition that day to say this must stop. So there's more to it with that story, but there's so much. And again, this too has a Katrina context because our schools today aren't what they were at that point. You're listening to the Good Morning Show on WBOK, 1230 a.m. Talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. You're listening to Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 AM, the station that New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Humidity is on the rise once again, so feeling a little less pleasant than previous days. Highs today will be into the upper 80s and the lower 90s, feeling like the mid to upper 90s at some points. We do have a chance for a few scattered afternoon showers and thunderstorms. A lot of us, though, will end up staying on the drier side. We do have a much better chance for seeing some rain for Friday on into Saturday. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Marking 20 years since Hurricane Katrina.
Tell me what would happen if today was the last time you heard that drum beat or that trumpet blow. For those who struggle to get out and those who still struggle to get back, you are welcome to this place called home. If you remember, come home.
Share your story. Support the work. August 24th through 31st. A series of cultural, educational, and healing events. Visit katrina20.org to learn more.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Back to the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 AM. Thank you so much for listening. We thank you for your ears, your brain, and your opinions, your commentary, and your questions. So the talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. I appreciate you listening to my voice, at least in the background, even if you're not listening to every word. But you know what? It's your station, brothers and sisters. So give us a call and let us hear what you have to say. And welcome back to the rest of the show. We got Lois Eli in the house, and he's got an event tonight. We talked about it, but some of y'all might just be tuning in. So I want to make sure you know about this event as well as the event that Andronika was just talking about.
Well, we're trying to talk about the cultural community and what has happened with and to the cultural community in the last 20 years. So we got a panel discussion that I will be moderating with Big Chief Howard Miller, Chief of the Creole Wild West, with Delphio Marcellus, with Jordan Hirsch, who is a scholar. He also is director of A Closer Walk NOLA, that attempts to commemorate the important places and people in our jazz history. Fred Johnson, founder of one of the founders of the Black Men of Labor, also with the Neighborhood Development Foundation. It's not unlike Ms. Morris, tries to put people into houses. Bruce Sun Pie Barnes, a musician and a folklorist, and also Edward Jackson, a founding member of the To Be Continued Brass Band. Because really what sets the city apart is the culture.
Yep.
A whole lot of other things. We're a lot like other cities.
Yep.
But the place looks different because of the culture of our architecture. The place sounds different because of the culture of our music. The place tastes different because of the culture of our food and the way in which we interact. The fact that people say good morning to strangers. I was outside of Conseco's yesterday. Woman, I don't know this woman from Adam. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
just
right.
being nice.
Yeah,
that ain't gonna happen in Los Angeles.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's we have so many people come here. They might come for a conference, for a meeting. They might come for a weekend and honeymoon or whatever those things that come with girls' weekend and all of those kinds of things. But the reason they're coming here is not just because they're looking for just any city to go to. The reason they're coming here is the culture. They're coming here from the culture. So I'm glad that you all are making time to talk about that piece of this important story because a number of things have happened, and we've lost some things in the last 20 years, and we've had to fight to keep some of that culture alive. And as we think about what's going to happen in the next 10 and the next 20, we don't want New Orleans to become just another southern city without the culture that have made us who we are and what we are. So I'm so glad that you're going to be talking about that tonight. The political scene, folks, we got the election coming up on October 11th. Now's a good time to check on your registration and check on some of everybody else's registration. As my buddy Lois just said just not that long ago, it's 1-2. It is 1-2. So make sure that you've identified whatever other two or twos that you can use to be a contributor to this culture and this city. It's really important that we all participate and be engaged, and that can happen in a number of different ways. Just because I do what I do doesn't mean you need to do what I do. We don't need to be at the same places all the time. There's some places, people that I know they're doing great work, and I haven't seen them in a while. I'm okay with that because I know the kind of work that they're doing, and they need to dedicate time to take care of that work. And, one of the things that happens is that we do see some people at some events, like folks will see people they probably haven't seen in a while tonight because we're doing things in some different places. But it's wonderful when you see somebody, and you've even been communicating with them, but it's been on text and it's been on phone, and you see that person, like what just happened now, and it's like, oh, and, give that hug and that love. It's a different thing. I don't know how AI is going to deal with that human touch. I know it's capable of a lot of things, but what I just saw, I don't know how AI is going to handle that. I just don't see it going that far. So I love to see it, love to feel it, and I encourage you to pace yourself this week as you go to or consider going to a number of these events. Give yourself some grace, give others some grace, and be about it, and be about it in your way. But when somebody asks you, what have you done and what are you doing, I hope you have an answer. I hope you have an answer for it.
Yeah. So. We each got to take our responsibility as part of the community, and that's what makes a community work. Mm-hmm. The fact that each person does their share.
Indeed. All right. Well, we're going to be wrapping up the show soon, but I'm going to give you a chance to call us, 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. That is the WBOK 1230 AM talk line. And I know that some of you all have things on your mind and on your chest because I see some of it in the Facebook chat. So give us a ring. You might not have called us in quite a while, and some of you have never called, but give us a ring at 504-582-9422. So, Lois, you got this big program tonight, but while you're home on this trip, what are you going to be doing that you can talk about between now and tonight? And what do you think you're going to be doing tomorrow?
What am I doing tomorrow? Well, I'm getting together with an impressive young man, Serene Mbe, who opened Dakar Nola Restaurant.
Yes.
And he and I are going to be comparing notes. We went to Senegal together in January. That's part of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Also hoping to meet a young writer of your acquaintance, your other nephew.
Oh, yes.
So we're supposed to try to get together at some point tomorrow.
Okay,
and,
good.
Try to figure out what to do as part of the official commemoration stuff. I had not known all of what CES 45 was doing.
Oh, yeah.
So that may well be a part of it.
You can't eat over there, by the way. There'll be food trucks of various kinds. So,
all right.
Yeah, so
well,
just
that
so
might
you know.
work. That might work.
And, of course, they pass through Lower 9, Upper 9, and 8th Ward, 6th Ward, and then 7th Ward. And so, there's some of our eateries along the route, and then over at Huntersville as well.
An old Circle Food store.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, we've had a good show today. Thank you for coming in and sharing this time together with our listeners, our WBOK listeners. They are the reason that we are here, and I am glad that we've had a chance to take some of your time and spend some time with our listeners here, and I'm sure some of them will be showing up tonight for your event. Again, what time, what place, what doors open, program start?
5 o'clock, the Jazz Museum on Esplanade Avenue at the Old U.S. Mint. So please be there. We're going to have some important folks saying important things.
All right. All about the culture. So thank you to Troy Carter for sharing his notes and his reflections about Katrina. Thank you to CES 45 reminding us about the 20th anniversary K-20 March and Second Line tomorrow, starting at 11 and then ending at Huntersville. Congressman Troy Carter will be there. Former Vice President Al Gore will be there. A number of other elected officials and community leaders and community folks like you and me going to be there to for that observation and commemoration of the anniversary. Thank you for Andronika Morris, who was going to call in but came in talking about Katrina at 20, where the money went and how to better spend it the next time. And that is tonight at 6. And I want to say thank you to those who listened on AM radio, those who listened on the internet, and those who watched and listened on Facebook. I see you, Fern and Melanie and Mark and Paul, Patrice, Jacqueline, Martin. I see y'all. I can't get to everybody, but I'm just letting you know we do thank you for listening and being a part of this WBOK audience. Up next, you'll have Kimba and Graylin with The Front Porch right here on WBOK. WBOK, 1230 a.m., the station that New Orleans is talking about all day long.